Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs and welcome back to the Minecraft Survival Guide. I hope you guys are having a good day. Today we're starting off over here at the castle where we are going to get on with some roofing and detailing today. Very excited for this. I've started to put together a bit of a build palette for what exactly the materials of the castle are going to be. We've got some spruce wood here, some spruce trapdoors, because those just look incredible in the context of this kind of medieval fantasy style castle. We've got some dark oak wood because I think that blends better with the spruce logs as a support. We've got a few of those hanging out in here, as well as some oak fences and spruce fences and fence gates, some spruce wood planks, and various stone types that are going to form the rest of the walls. We've got a few other things that we can add in here, some cobblestone walls, some cobblestone stairs, maybe here and there. We can have some nether brick slabs to add to the roof here and there, and I thought stuff like note blocks would also be good as an additional texture. And I have taken a look at all of this in the new default textures, the ones that are going to be coming out as of 1.14, and so far everything looked pretty great. If we wait for this to swap over, there you go. That's looking more or less the same. There's a few textures that are subtly different, but I think the overall vibe remains the same. The color palette we're working with remains the same, and I think the note blocks in particular look really quite cool with this new texture. So excited to move on to that, but for now we're going to be shifting back to the regular default that I use for this series, and we're going to get started building some roofs. And if we're working on roofs, I should probably also work on lighting up the interiors of these builds here and there, just to make sure, to make sure there are no dark spaces inside once we have actually got a roof together for this place. There's going to be a lot of enclosed spaces, a lot of spaces where mobs could potentially spawn, so torches at the ready, I think, for this one. Now, as I mentioned before, we're going to be using nether brick and red nether brick for the roof, and I've been doing a little bit of nether warp farming off camera and now have myself a really nice amount of red nether brick, so hopefully that should get us a decent way through some of the roofs in this place. It's not going to cover absolutely everything, I'm sure, because that's really not all that much in the grand scheme of things compared to the amount of stone we've put into this build already, but I think it'll get us at least started on the roof sections around here. Now, roofs can be a little bit intimidating if you're working with angled buildings especially, because it's easy enough to do a straight roof like this, where it's just two walls of equal kind of size and shape on the opposite sides, and all you need to do is fill in the lines around them. Adding a little bit of depth by insetting the roof by one block can be helpful. It could also even overhang a little bit here and there. We could even bring it down from this point so it overhangs a little bit into the castle courtyard area. Maybe pop a few more nether bricks in here just to see what this looks like. From this angle, it almost looks like the roof is falling off of here a little bit, but all we need to do is shallow out the angle a little bit with some slabs and then put some supporting beams underneath here using wood. In this case, all it's taken is a couple of logs, a couple of stairs, and some fences and fence gates, and that's looking really great. We can probably even come around the corner with it like so. We'll just add in a few more bricks around the outside, and we can have it connect to a roof section above this wall over here. Throw in a couple of nether brick slabs for detail just to get that little overhang here and there. Not too bad. Not too bad. It's a good start. It looks a little bit weird having something this detailed when all the walls around here are still plain stone, but we'll work on that a little bit later. The next thing we need to do is work out some of the roof angles for some of these angled buildings. And making angled roofs is really not as difficult as you might think. You've just got to decide on the slope that you're going to have on both sides and stick to it. You've got roughly a center block about here, and it can come up on the opposite side to match that. Actually, the center is more like here, I guess. So let's bring that down one more block on the sides. Do the same on the opposite side just to bring it level, and all we need to do is much the same as we've done with this roof here, just kind of fill in this middle section. Might actually want to bring it up one more block from there just to make sure that this still feels inset like it does on the other roof. And with the roof all covered over, we have ourselves a complete angled roof. It's still got straight sides though, so some of these other roofs over here, for example, are going to be a little bit trickier, but it all follows the same principle. All you need to do is build up the walls to a certain height, fill in the roof section like so, and it's a fairly simple roof design, but it gets the job done. Moving around to the area at the front of the castle here by the gates, I really want this section here to be a raised walkway inside here so people can look down over the central courtyard as things come into the castle, and maybe if they need to level bows or crossbows at them to prevent them from coming in, defend the castle a little bit, then that's going to be ideal. I kind of need to move some of these fences around. So I've set up this perimeter line of fences over here, which, yeah, should really be over the top there so that we can get right up to this row of stone here. And I think on each side we're going to have a roof that slopes outwards and basically make it more of a straight roof than something that has to have a peak in it, because it can easily connect to this room behind, and we can probably bring the height of that tower up a little further if we need to. But I think what we're going to do is raise this wall a little bit first, just so we can have a bit more room to work with here. And then along here we're going to draw a line, probably connect it up to this tower here as well. And I think probably along the front we want to keep this row of nether brick slabs going. I really wish we had red nether brick slabs in the game already, but hopefully it shouldn't be too long to wait before we get the red nether brick as well. And then, thanks to the fact that this wall here and that wall there are built on the same sort of angle, basically all we need to do is build this up in waves so that it ends up meeting this wall at the back here. We'll dot a couple of slabs along the front here, and then let's take a quick look at it from across the way. Yeah, that's not too bad. It's definitely going to look nice from down here where, yeah, you've got this nice steep roof shielding the archers' eyes from the sun and giving them nowhere else to look but down into the courtyard where they're supposed to be watching and defending. All right, now let's duplicate this design on the opposite side. And once again, that whole feeling where if you have something duplicated or mirrored or symmetrical or just a pattern that repeats, it's going to feel a lot more put together. There we go, right? Not bad. It's taking shape slowly. And you can imagine like a cart track coming in here as well with some path blocks like so. Maybe a few wheels have been dragged through here once upon a time. Maybe horses churning up the dirt around here. And we can start to fill in a few details here and there right now if we want to. But I'm thinking some of these towers need maybe the heights adjusting and probably a few roofs of their own. So the wall pig will have to keep an eye on the proceedings over here while we make a start on some of the other roofs. All right, so I've done a little bit of stuff to the tops of these towers because despite wanting to put a roof on each of these, I figured there should probably be a little bit of space, much like the inside here, where people can look out from the top levels. So as we come around here, you will see that this is still hollow, but it's got a little bit of a stone walkway of sorts, and we can probably lay down some more slabs in here, maybe inset one there so we don't have to worry too much about lighting this whole area up. And this section can be used for maybe a sort of staircase that leads up to the top of the tower from the back here, or maybe a ladder or something like that. And people can look out through here and potentially keep an eye out for anything that is coming into the castle from the outside. So we're going to be putting roofs on these, and we're probably going to make them kind of pointy roofs in the traditional kind of castle tower sense. Just going to make sure that this place is lit up from below here, and let's see if we can get out through this hole. Whoop, there we go. So we can leave a gap down there that we can run a ladder up here to the top, and let's get started on this. We should be able to hop up here. There we go. Fantastic. Let's make a roof starting out here. I think we're probably not going to limit people's vision by putting the roof down there because, again, that's going to point down towards the ground a little bit, but it's going to make the tower roof look a little bit squat. I want a couple of blocks on the top here so that we can kind of see what's going on from below. And we're basically drawing a circle around the edge of the tower like so, just alternating with the red and regular nether brick. We can even join the fences up on the top here so that that looks a little bit more connected, and we'll probably do a little bit more detailing around here as we go. But as far as the kind of cone shape of the tower goes, the turret style shape, really what we want to do is come up in the middle here and then build a back row on these things, bringing each of these sides up an additional block and adding a slab in there just to kind of create a little bit of a curvature towards this. And I think this is going to come together okay. And then start to fill in the next ring of material, alternating that red and purple nether brick again, building it up from the outside. Let's step back here. I like the fact that witch has gotten up on there as if we need like a reference material from the hat. Let's step back onto the roof of the forge over here. And that's coming together pretty well so far. I think I'm getting shot at, though. Probably need to pepper a few torches on the inside of the tower to make sure that nothing spawns in here and so that it can stay lit up at night. The witch over there is not burning in the sunlight, but luckily the rest of the stuff around here is, and some of it is now setting me on fire. The witch has aggroed on me and is now actually trying to throw potions from about, I'd say, 25 blocks away. It's not going to work, love. And there we go. After a bit of trial and error, I think I've got it nailed. It's basically just a matter of making, like, a set of increasingly smaller circles as you go further up, and then adding a couple of taller parts to the sides here and there at even places around the outside, just to make sure that it has that slight kind of taper inwards and it keeps it nice and steep. I think that's a design that we can easily copy over to the opposite tower, and the good thing about these is that they've got enough room down the bottom here that we can do some really great detailing to them. They look like a blank canvas right now, and that's a very good thing. Of course, if we want to work on this other tower, I may have to dispose of this witch. Let's see if we can knock her off the roof. Bit of redstone, bit of gunpowder. Sure, I'll take it. And finishing that second tower was a fine time to realize that I had built this tower one block shorter, or I'd added one block to the tower on the right that I hadn't done on the left. But in a way, that's kind of cool. I'm kind of fine with that. I definitely don't want to rebuild the entire roof over here, but it does give the place a little bit of like a sideways lean to it, a little bit of character, let's say. Let's call it character and be done with it so I can move on to a different roof, because we have a whole lot of roofs to take care of in this here castle. Let's move around to this side. I think I want to tackle this one if I'm not just wasting fireworks and throwing myself into a wall. I'm still not entirely certain what I want to do with the central section. In fact, I think I do want to build it up and have additional structures coming off of the top of this. So if anything, I want to build the roof of this section here first, just so that we can get that done and have it attached to the wall there. And then maybe something else could be built out over the top of it. It's hard to say at this stage. We'll come up with something on the fly. But in the meantime, this is another one like the angled roof that we're actually standing on right now. But all we need to do is make sure that the angle also applies to this wall here. This is going to be the end of it. This is going to be like the far wall where everything kind of slopes up to a point in the center. And just like the other roofs we've done around here, this is just going to be a series of lines, except each of the lines is going to follow the same angle as the wall here. So it's basically going to be in 2-block sections like so, just popping in another block each time we move over. Get off the roof. This is mine. We had to improvise a little bit at the top here. This section is 2 blocks thick instead of 1 block thick because for whatever reason, like the way I built the walls, it didn't quite line up so that there was an odd number in the center here, but that's absolutely fine. It all kind of joins up to this section of the roof here, and as we fly over the castle now, if you take into account all of the roofs we've done so far, this place is really starting to look quite well put together. Give or take, of course, the bare stone walls, which we'll probably be doing in a separate episode, a little bit more detail work on some of them. I think it's time to get a few more of these done off camera, because I think I've shown you the basics of what I plan to do here. I'll bring you back in if there's anything more exciting to take care of, but in the meantime, I think let's just get on with it. Alright folks, so I'm running a little short on materials and also a little short on time for this episode, so we're probably going to wrap this up relatively quickly. But before we do, I thought I would show you guys some of what I've been doing off camera, because this place is coming together really, really well now. The whole structure of the thing really starts to take shape once you add the roofs, and once you start adding a few little extra details here and there. And a lot of this is the stuff that you've already seen so far in this episode, but we have a few things to recap from off camera. First of all, this building here on the corner is taking shape, and I don't think I put any lighting in here, so it's already a den of mobs. I will fix that a little bit later. Don't feel like going in and wading in there right now. Now, over here where the overlapping shapes start for what I was thinking of as the residential wing of the castle, there's some fun stuff you can do with roofs kind of intersecting with some of the other buildings, and in this case, this tower roof here, the tower is relatively short, and it's going to have some sort of windows in the corners as well once we end up doing some more detail work on the walls themselves. But you'll see that the height of that actually doesn't reach the height of the wall behind it, and I've actually increased the height of the wall a little bit so that it can have that effect. Basically, these kind of like half roof or 3/4 roofs are going to be really nice to sprinkle into your castle here and there where you've got the overlapping shapes, and it definitely helps it feel like a connected structure instead of just a set of towers all connected to each other. It's like having a terrace set of houses in the real world instead of just having everything be a detached house on the same road, you know? Kind of gives it a little bit more character, a little bit more structure to the whole place. Now let me get my fireworks back into the bar so that I can take to the sky one more time, because there are a couple of other things that I really, really like that are coming together around here. These towers in particular, this one there that's kind of in the center of the whole castle, and then this one here on the corner both have this wonderful sloped roof with a couple of like little kind of sticking out sections at the end. I forget exactly what those are called, but they have an overhang on each side, kind of tapers in a little bit towards the end, and then that right there is a section of bone blocks that I don't think I've filled in all the way in there, so I probably need to go in there and do that. But the bone blocks make for a really nice wall texture. It kind of looks a little bit like a medieval style of plaster, like wattle and daub kind of plaster, except it's got that nice kind of off-white color in general. So like much like we've used the white wool in some of these other structures, we're going to start using bone blocks in here. And bone blocks look really good next to blocks from the nether as well. They kind of have the same dingy vibe to them, so I think that's kind of a perfect addition to the color palette for this castle. And as you can see over here by the main front wall, we actually have another one of those done in basically exactly the same style, just with a shorter tower. And I really like having something that looks like it's looking out over this section. In fact, we might even put a window up in the top of there, or maybe some windows kind of around here, so that it looks like it's something that maybe the Baron of the castle, because somebody in the comments actually mentioned that it might not necessarily be a king here. If it's an administrative castle, it could be like a lord or a baron that owns this place. And I like the sound of maybe calling him Baron Ironheart or something like that, and having this be like Castle Ironheart. But I'm still, jury's out on the suggestions. You guys have been giving me some great castle name suggestions in the last couple of episodes, and please do keep them coming, because I would like to get like maybe a poll together or something like that with a few of my favorites. Castle Ironheart is kind of there on the list right now, but I got a couple of others. Castle Brimstone was one that I quite liked, so that might end up getting in there. But yeah, I like the suggestions. Keep them coming, folks. And especially now the roofs are starting to take shape around here, then you guys will maybe have a little bit more inspiration in the tank. But I'm going to quickly switch over to the eye in the sky so you can see exactly how much of this I've done so far and how much is still left to do. There are a bunch of towers towards the back of the castle that I would love to have more unique designs, and instead of just having the conical shape or this kind of slightly more boxy and triangular shape, I kind of want to go with something completely different for these ones at the back, and have them all have their own unique character. Some of them are bigger, some of them are smaller. We can work in a few different designs, but I think I'm all tapped out on towers for today. I've done a lot of roof building, and there really is no substitute for hard work when it comes to stuff like this. You just have to put the time in getting the roofs built. So this is going to be a longer project than I thought. In fact, I think Castle Week is probably going to extend more into like a 2-week period, which I would love to call Fortnight, but dang it, Fortnite players have just ruined that term for me. I'm sorry, but it happens. We can't call anything a fortnight anymore, otherwise people get confused. So I think that's going to be it for this episode, folks, and you can expect to see a little bit more of the castle tomorrow, and probably into next week as well, although we might take a couple of breaks to work on other projects here and there. Don't want to get burnt out on this build, but I am loving it so far, and I hope you guys are as well. What the heck has happened to my skin? I appear to be a Steve. I think, yeah, this is still me. The Pixel Cam account is still dressed as Herobrine, but I think something may be happening with the internet right about now. So I'm going to sign off as Steve for some weird reason. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the Minecraft Survival Guide. My name has been Pixlriffs. Apparently my name is now Steve. Don't forget to leave a like on this episode if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you guys soon. Take care. Bye for now.